Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction or read through for Tower of God chapter 637 or season 3 episode 220. I'll try to keep it a little bit on the shorter side just because I feel like I could sit and talk about Tower of God. I could sit and talk about this series for hours, but I'll try to keep the intro short so that we can actually get into reading things. I am excited, as I always am, to see what happens this week. Last week we ended with some neat stuff like we've been doing, I guess. So this whole V within bomb stuff is crazy. I don't trust the voice from the line. I think it doesn't make a lot of sense if this is actually V speaking through the line, because they talk about like being this god of resentment, and yeah, maybe V sort of went dark towards the end or went a little bad, but this stuff about being the promised one, the one to return to the tower, none of that really matches V. So I think there are a lot of different, ways you can interpret it. I really do like the theory that it's the outside god, but I talked a lot about that last week. Maybe the outside god was trapped outside and going in through bomb is the way to get back inside. They could be a person who created the tower. They could be a really powerful irregular from the past. Who knows? Or I also like the theory, I believe that Abyss Knight brought this up too, and it's something that I also heard elsewhere that I like, is that this could potentially be V the child, not V the father, but this could be the dead child spirit. The bomb that we know isn't the actual dead child, but the dead child is still that power, that lineage of V is still locked away deep in there, and he's like, I'm finally awake, your resentment awoke me, can I get out of here? I've been trapped in here while this other guy's taken over my body. So this could be V the child, and that also could be a reason why CU has been determined not to tell us V's actual name. Maybe the reason why is because V the father and V the son might both be being called V here, but they're two different people, maybe even have totally different names, and that's why we're kind of like being misled. We're supposed to think, holy crap, this is V, how is it V, why is it V? And this is actually like a misdirect, and it's not the V that we know, it's V the child, or something completely different, and it's mistaken, or it's not telling the truth. Either way, I don't trust the line. I don't trust this guy. But there's a lot that it could potentially be. I think my only issue with it, especially going back, reading through last chapter some more, the ending was good. Some of the fighting, like multiple people reacting said this too, it was kind of repetitive in that we would like get them clash, and then they separated, and then Dorothy cheered on Bomb, and then Belarenkidu would like sneak away and then kind of sneak attack her, and then Bomb would protect her, and we did that twice, and it's weird. We could have just done it once. It's weird that the same thing happened twice, the same like sequence of events happened twice. It was just kind of odd last week. Also, I'm not sure how I feel about Dorothy's portrayal. Like, she felt just kind of out of character last week to me. Some of the stuff she said and did just didn't feel super on character for her. And another general issue is just, this arc has general issues. Season 3 kind of has general issues, especially the further on you go, and the further removed we feel, or like it feels like we are from what felt like the main story of Tower of God. It's an issue that I have with we're getting so many huge, massive, like World of Tower of God level reveals with the Gaston and Traumeré stuff, now with V stuff. We're getting so many of these big reveals, and it feels a little hollow because our main story isn't super coherent. And I think that is an issue where if you look at any long-running shonen, any kind of long-running shonen, you have your main group, their goals, their connections, and then as we're following them chasing their goals, we're getting these big world level like revelations. I think a great example is One Piece. I won't spoil anything, but you have the Straw Hats. They're our main characters. They have their different connections, their different goals. The general goal is still heading in the same direction, and as we're doing that, we're getting these big world level reveals. And it felt like Tower of God for a long time. Was that coherent? Was that good? Look at what we had going into Workshop Battle with all of these different characters, but you could look at all of them. They had their different goals. There were different things that they were going for, and we were generally just going up the tower. We had different groups and all. Not every character was around all the time, but everything was so well interconnected, so well written. All of the characters felt so developed. And we have that going into Workshop Battle. We have that going up into Helltrain. And then you even look at the group that we have in the Nest, and even going into the Nest, we had a lot of characters that were well developed, that had a bunch of connections going on, and we brought that into the climax of the Nest saga with the Nest arc, and now we're going into the Sprout arc, which is seemingly the climax of this saga, and it just feels like we don't really have that. Most of our core cast is gone. We have hundreds of chapters of where's Wang Nan, where's Yiwa. Like, we kind of generally know where we are, but that's a long time to be away from them. It makes it feel like they don't matter anymore. We have so many characters that come in, don't really do too much, get too much development, and though I love the characters in Tower of God and want to get invested in all of them, let's be real, some of these characters after this arc, we're not really going to be seeing them again. Even some of the opponent characters, rather than being super developed, I keep going back to the branch leader characters are kind of nothing characters. So we run into those issues, and again, our core cast going into this arc, really, who do we even have left? We just have Bam Kunrak and Dorothy going into this, and going into it, like, especially in season 3, Bam and Kun have just had such big issues. Look at Bam and Kun compared to, again, like maybe the two most prominent characters in any other long-running shonen, and as much as I love and adore Tower of God, I wouldn't have been reading it for over a dozen years if I didn't love and adore it. As much as I do, I look at Bam and Kun and look at what a mess the writing behind their characters has become, like, compared to, again, any, like big two characters of any long-running series. I think that their writing's really fallen apart. Rack, I like when CU actually does stuff with, but has had the problem for probably like a decade now of just constantly around. It's not that he's not, like, at least you can give excuses for Wang Nan. It's like, oh, they're doing stuff off screen. Rack's been here not doing anything most of the time. Finally, lately, he's getting to do a little bit. Kun and Rack, I'm honestly disappointed that they didn't get to do more with the Dumas stuff. With as much as the Dumas stuff was like, yeah, Bomb shouldn't be able to do this much to a certain extent, but that was mitigated by being like, okay, this isn't Dumas at his strongest, at his peak or anything. This is just the internal Dumas. At the end, I think it would have been nice if Kun really was like actually freezing his heart, but then was going to use the sweet fish to bring himself back at an opportune time. And that's just like not just me doing the thing where it's like, oh, I think because my idea didn't happen, it's bad. I would have been happy with many ideas for Kun, but having Kun do nothing but die and get saved by Sweetfish without doing anything consciously himself again is an issue, because it's something that we've seen a lot, and it's just not good for Kun's character. And even Anne Dorothy, who I think is maybe out of the four been the strongest character writing wise, to be real honest with you, even though her writing in the hotel arc was kind of a little like retreading ground for character development. She was Ash Ketchuming a little bit, she was Usopping a little bit, retreading ground that her character's already been through. It was still good, it was still solid, and I think even her last chapter she felt off character. So it's like we have barely any semblance of a main story, of a main plot left. Our main plot has been torn to tatters, and we have this shredded main plot, and yet we're finding out these huge revelations, and I'm just like, it's nice, it's really great that we're getting these huge revelations, but it feels a bit hollow when the main plot, like, we have guests coming over and the house is in disarray. It is a mess. The main plot, like, it felt like going all through season 1 and 2, we were on a main plot. We had this core group of characters. Some of them were around all the time, some of them weren't, but we had these characters that were highly developed, and they had their different goals, but they also had this general idea of the direction we were moving. Then, going into the Nest Saga, we took this direction we were moving and said, let's have a side quest. Let's go rescue Jinsung. And that's what the Nest Saga was. And it's like, okay, that was good as its own thing. It's a little spin-offy. It's a little bit of a side quest. It feels like we took our eyes off the prize a bit. But Now we can transition back into it with the hotel arc. The hotel arc was really good. And since then, the frayed threads that we were working with at the hotel arc have just fallen apart even more, where, again, our characters feel more spread out and more dropped off than before. We're just dropping more characters. We're bringing in characters who don't last long or don't get developed that much. And again, I don't hate that. I don't hate bringing in characters. I like new characters. I like what development we get for these characters. Dumas has been great. I enjoyed Tiara. I liked Jam Jam and Mate. I like these characters, but we're getting them at the expense of really losing our sense of a main group. We don't really have that sense anymore. And not only have we lost the sense of the main group, what little characters we have for a main group here, like 4 of them, aren't at their best right now. And bigger than that, something that a lot of people have brought up a bunch, we've kind of lost sight of our main journey. Our group of characters who were well developed, who had their goals that they were working toward, but we were going a general direction together, has fallen apart, and the series feels like it's strongly lost direction. It feels like Bomb is just at this point being pulled along by all these various forces, and we don't have a series direction that we're heading towards. I really think that it would have benefited CU, much like he said with the hiatus before the hotel arc, where he was like, okay, we're taking a hiatus and we're planning out the next arc. We probably should have done that before the Sprout because of how unorganized it's been. So, this is me getting on a tangent, and again, I feel like I could talk for hours about Tower of God. I really didn't even want to talk this much, and I didn't want to be, negative or anything this early in a video. But I do think it's an issue we run into with this V stuff, where we're getting these big reveals, but these big reveals are like these massive, weighty moments held up by toothpicks. When it comes to the main story, our structure isn't there to hold this weight. So I don't know what CU does at this point, but I feel like somehow we need to start reinforcing. We need to start rebuilding. We need to start bringing back our main idea. We need to start bringing back together a core cast of characters who are going to be and feel important and developed. And we need to do a better job with them when they're here, like with our main trio and Dorothy. And Dorothy I don't want to include even, because I think that she's been handled pretty well, to be honest. That's me. I've always been she's super popular, so I want to be a hater. I want to be oh no, she's overrated. And actually, this other character is so great. But no, she's just actually kind of, well written. And then we've just had issues with our main trio. We've had issues with our main trio for years, and I don't know what CU does with that, but I feel like we need to get that sense of a main group back. We need to get them developed properly, and we need to make it feel like the series has before the direction was up. We had a direction. We're going up, and we've been going literally down. I believe that the walls were going a floor down from the cage, and then going another floor down for the nest, and I don't even know where we are now. But the last time we saw Gastong's ship and we got a floor number, I'm pretty sure it was back at the floor where the last station was. So we've been moving literally downward. And now, of course, everybody says, oh, the characters are so strong. How are we going to continue with the climb? I don't know. That's the thing. Maybe we need to continue the climb, but we're not getting into the tests or anything. We're getting into these bigger conflicts like we're getting into now. But either way, we need to get some sort of trajectory, some sort of direction. The series feels very directionless, and I think that's the biggest issue in the Sprout. And again, it was fine for the nest because we were doing something specific. We were on a specific side quest. We did the specific side quest. Kind of a win, kind of not, since everybody got captured and separated and stuff. But, side quest done. We should have been trying to get back on the rails. This war stuff could have still happened, but our main group could have done something else writing-wise aside from it. I just think that, again, we're directionless right now. We're floating in the sea. So, long Haku intro aside, I didn't want to do a long Haku intro. I have so much more I could have said, though. But either way, let's read 637. So to start off, we have our violence warning. Gastong. He's upside down. Is he trying to reach the irregular? Get him. Okay, and this, again, this is good. We're going to see the issue of those two stopping each other from capturing Bomb. We have some of the wings of the Seraphim being torn apart. Because somebody said that the other translation called the little floaty things wings of the Seraphim when they first showed up, and that makes a lot more sense because in the official they were called like Seraphim of Light, and then he summoned the actual like capital S Seraphim, so I think it makes sense here if the thing he summoned is the Seraphim, but these things are just like wings of Seraphim. They're like little observers, basically. They're getting kind of thrashed. All crumpled up. Gastang's rushing forward. We have the giant foot of Prometheus coming down towards Valhalla. She reacts, but it's hard to stomp into mid-air, mid-Shinsu. And the foot itself is being pierced and crumbled. The toe is oh, that just looks painful. Toe is being taken off. Valhalla's design is so cool. I love it. We have long fingernails. Okay. I don't remember them being like that before. It's doing the thing. It blows a hole straight through the head of Prometheus. Battle between the family heads, the promised path. How were you able to awaken me? I see. Your heart is full of resentment toward someone. It's the product of many years and many lives all mixed together. A true masterpiece. That resentment must be what woke me. So I wonder if this is a reference to how Enkidu was made. Was Enkidu truly Dwarf in the Flask made from the sacrifice of many people? Or is it just in reference to the fact that, or is it even in reference to Bellerir and however Bellerir was made? Or is it just in reference to many lives being Enkidu, Bellerir, and Gororo all in one body? Because I'm the god who fulfills your resentment. Who exactly are you? I'm the promised one, who was supposed to return one day and wander the tower once again. Call me V. Perhaps this is part of your destiny as well. This may be the path intended for you by the guide. What the hell's he talking about? I'm falling asleep again. Damn it. Hey, would you mind hitting me to wake me up? What? I'm starting to fall back asleep. Hey. And he's yelling, hey. And is he going to be cast back out? It looks like it. Okay, so he was only in there for a moment. What happened just now? What the heck was that place earlier? And who is V? Like, honestly, to me, Goru Bellorenkidu is kind of compelling me more than Mom at the moment. Whatever he just did, it clearly wasn't normal. This guy's really starting to get on my nerves. In that case, Holin, he calls out to Holin, is, you know, the scene of SpongeBob and Patrick during the movie where they're on the board just drying out, just laying all spread out like that? That's a Holin at the moment. Stop the irregular. He's trying to take the chess piece. Ugh. Then this looks like a piece of Megalodon being used to chomp at him. That's more like it. He jellifies his limbs. Now then. We have Dorothy yelling as she's being hung upside down. All I need to do is persuade her. Shit. And she just fires a beam. Okay. Why can't I get rid of this thing? I can't use the bong bong unless I pull it off me. Please, just let go of me already. And I don't know. This feels so contrived and out of character for her. Like, she can't just... Why is she not pulling out, like, her weapons? Like, her... Imagine the Andorthi who stood up to the Serpent Master and fought Lilial and everything, compared to this, it's not a power scaling thing as much as it is a portrayal thing. She just seems like really hapless. And it feels out of character for her to act that way. Like, even if she's overwhelmed, even if she's up against a force much greater than her, like standing up to Ren all the way back in Season 1, even against a terrifying force much greater than her, it just feels weird for her to be acting like she just isn't acting like herself. Now she's still just yelling. Again, it just feels like yelling and being like, oh no, what do I do? It feels really out of character for her. Then she's rescued. Thank goodness I still have the chess piece at least. And Dorsey. Bomb, you're safe. Of course. What happened to Bellerear? I got rid of him, naturally, and this is going to be him just transformed, isn't it? I was so worried about you. I tried to finish him off and get over here as quickly as possible. It's too dangerous for you to have that chess piece. Huh? If you give it to me, I'll keep it safe and return it to you later. What the hell are you talking about? Why would I give you my chess piece? What? I just want to keep you safe. But why would I need you to protect my chess piece? What's gotten into her? I thought she'd like the idea. But you're in danger as long as you have that. I can protect my own chess piece. Got it? As for you, since you're a slave to my beauty, your only job is to protect me. I know, but I really don't think you should have that chess piece. What's up with Dorsey? Is she not feeling well or something? No way. This is mine. You should never ask a princess for anything that belongs to her. She's even more delusional than I thought. But Princess Dorsey, if you keep that chess piece, you'll be targeted by the enemy. It's too dangerous. And then... Bomb? The real bomb comes out. Why is there another bomb? Wait, then who are you? And again, I don't know. These past 2 chapters, she has just seemed really, really incompetent, which is so out of character for her. And again, it's not like being overwhelmed by somebody stronger or somebody smarter. It's just that she is uncharacteristically dumb in order to make this plot line work. And like uncharacteristically weak, uncharacteristically incompetent with how she's using her abilities in order to make this plot line work. Like her level of her level of competence is serving the story that CU wants to tell with these chapters, rather than it just being a story that fits the character she already has. I almost had you. I really, truly don't think he did. Bellerear? You were trying to trick me. You're the one who backstabbed me, or stabbed me in the back by trying to run away. Now, hurry up and hand over the chess piece. I never stabbed you in the back. This chess piece is mine anyway. And Dorothy, give me the chess piece. And he's charging in. Give it to me. You don't even care who wins this fight. Screw you, it doesn't belong to you. Get away from me, you freak. He grabs her arm. Now you're really... And again, even if he's stronger than her, she's not trying to do any hand-to-hand techniques when we know that she's a capable fighter. Even if he were stronger than her, it could be portrayed in a better way. She isn't trying to use her like needle-like weapons, her little shield things that she rarely uses, to be fair. We never see her use her like spade-shaped Shinsu quality stuff. It just feels like, again, she's just weirdly out of character and incompetent. Now you're really pissing me off. Stop moving around and give the damn chess piece to me. And he stabs her through the torso. And it's crazy how we've seen this so much in Tower of God that, like, I just caught myself. I was, like, just moving on, and I'm like, wow, I'm just, like, we've just seen it so much in Tower of God that I am completely unfazed by people getting stabbed through the torso. Ugh. And Dorothy, she drops the piece. And Dorothy and Bomb just standing there still. She's dropped to the ground. Still yelling her name. Okay, but now she has the piece again, or is this him grabbing it? Okay, it's him grabbing it. Perfect. I've got the chess piece. She should have given it to me. It didn't need to end like this. No! Bomb rushes in. We have Red Shinsu coming down. Gastong is making it to them. More of the explosions of flame tearing apart Holin, I'd assume. Just a bunch of chaos in all of it. Gastong. We have Belarus's reaction. Get out of the way, Gastong. That man's a traitor. He's trying to use the chess piece to destroy both families. What a waste. He looks at Dorothy. What have you done, Belarus? Lord Gastong, I just made a little mistake. I was trying to protect your chess piece. I don't want to hear any more senseless lies. Take the chess piece and go to the arena. What? You want to destroy the 10 family heads, don't you? And you can do so with that chess piece, right? Then go. Gastong, what in the world are you doing? You can't just let him... And why would Baum even not think they were working together? To be honest. Like, I know he heard there's, like, sketchiness and stuff, but it's very clear that, I don't know, things have changed. Stay out of this. And if you're concerned about the princess, she's still alive. I'll revive her for you. No, it's not just that. You still can't let him go. How can you leave the fate of your family in the hands of someone like him? What the heck are you thinking? Don't you care about all the suffering your decision will cause for the members of your family? Besides, that chess piece in his hand isn't his. It belongs to Dorothy. That's so dumb. It's a piece from this game where the goal is to take them from each other. I need to give it back to her. What are we talking about? I see. In that case, go ahead and stop me if you can. What are we Foolish though it may be, or though it may seem to you, this is the path that I've chosen. You're welcome to try to stop me if you dare. Just like your mother once did as well. And again, I wonder how serious he's being, or if he's just trying to play into Baum's emotions. Again, we might get into more big reveals, more deep stuff. But it just feels like, you know, it's very easy to say that it's come way too early in the series, even though we're 600 some chapters in. It just feels like we jumped to this way too quickly from the pace we did have. But yeah, it just feels like our main story is just not built for this. It's, again, we're building we're building a house on sand. The foundation is nothing, and we're trying to put something real heavy on it. Although she failed in the end. Have it your way then. Yeah, I don't know. That was another... this arc has been hit and miss with some great chapters, some alright chapters, some awful chapters. This isn't the worst, but it's leaning toward the awful side. And Dorothy was way out of character once again, like last week. Baum was a mess here at the end, just yelling her name again and again. And I need to get, like, what is the emotional connection to the chess piece? I would get if you're upset that your friend, this person who's been with you for years, this person who we saw her speech to Avto or whatever, was so... This person who cares about you so much was hurt. I get being upset about that. But contextualizing it through this chess piece and this stupid... Like, a lot of people have complained about the chess game, and I'm like, okay, the chess game can work. It can totally work. CU's just not doing a great job with it. But contextualizing the things I am done. Like, I really hate this stupid chess game at this point. Because again, it can work, but CU is doing an awful job at writing it. Like, I just don't know what the deal is with this arc. Even arcs that weren't perfect. Like getting into Season 3, the cage was not perfect. I think you can be very critical of some of the subplots, but overall, it was still a good arc, especially towards the end. I still personally really like it. I think we get into some good character stuff. I think we introduce some great characters. I think the walls are great. I freaking love the walls. You know, Doan's kind of flip-floppy, but time heals all wounds. You kind of forget about that after an amount of time, but the walls was really great. Again, especially the ending. Then the nest. Some big issues with the nest. Nest was definitely not perfect, but if you were to compare the Sprout to the nest did so many things, basically everything, so much better. And we go through all of that, we get into the hotel arc, and it's like, okay, Tower of God didn't feel like Tower of God for a while, but we're really getting back into Tower of God. We're really bringing things back. And I really don't have much bad to say. I think people, if anything, the only thing to be super critical of, I think, and again, I think more people dislike it than I do, is the stuff at the end with Kun making the deal with the family heads. And it's weird that Kun's doing it, sure, but it still kind of works, and it makes total sense from the family heads perspective because they have their own goals that they're working towards. Then we get, after the hotel arc, into the stuff between the hotel and the Sprout, and hit and miss is an understatement, where, again, it's just not super, super coherent, but we get some truly great stuff, like the Murchia and Mazano fight, some of the character stuff we get with Yama and Yusracha, getting that all wrapped up, introduction of Lobadan, who I think is really great, introduction of Dumas there, who ends up being really great, and the Sprout, again, when we're in a flashback, it's usually pretty good. When we're not in a flashback, it's usually pretty bad. Sometimes it's less bad than others. The Gororo, Enkidu, Rachel stuff when she was there, Tiara stuff when she was there, all of that was solid. The Bomb and Dumas stuff, mostly bad, but there is some good there, I think. I don't know what we're doing. The branch leader stuff, again, I don't hate the Rack aspect of it, but even Rack's thing was kind of rushed, and it would have been nice to let the emotional weight settle by having Bomb have to try to stop the rampaging Rack for longer than just walking up to him, touching him, and like, bam, Jesus powers, you're fine now. Again, but then so much of this arc has just been straight up, like, actually bad. I don't know what CU is doing, because again, before this arc, even when other people were critical, I could be critical in the sense that it's like, okay, I can see that this isn't perfect, I can see that that's not perfect, but the overall whole was still good. But then here, we're just in a place where the overall whole just isn't good with this arc. There are good scenes occasionally, but it's not even the most common. Over 50% of the time this arc, it's been like actually kind of bad. And that's what I'm struggling with, because this is, I think, the first just straight up bad arc in Tower of God. Again, there are good parts. It's not all bad, but most of it is. And it sucks. It's hard. I'm really, really struggling with it because, again, this is a series I've read for a long time. So I remember reading it when it was good week to week. I remember reading Return of the Prince week to week, and this isn't just nostalgia speaking. You can go back and reread it now. It's 1,000,000 times better than this, and that's a low estimate. It is so, so good, so coherent. All of the characters are like there's this great thing that's done where we're spending this time introducing these groups of characters and really developing and letting us care about these groups of characters. And then we have this big twist where everything gets messed up. All the characters are mixed up on different teams. Things shift, things change. It's dramatic. And then it all comes together in Workshop Battle. And Workshop Battle, what it does is it introduces a few new plot threads, like the Kasano taking Emily to Rachel stuff, to be like, holy shit, what is going to happen next in Tower of God? It shows us Gaston. Massive. But what's important is that it takes all these characters, all these plot lines that we've spent dozens of chapters building up, and it pays them off. It is such a massive moment, having all of these characters, all of these different characters that have suffered through so much, get to come together. In the end, they survived. They're in the ship together. Team Sweet and Sour won. And Team Sweet and Sour isn't just the original team. It is Bomb. It is everyone around him. He has found his family from season 1 again. His family that he's been climbing the tower with for like over a year at this point with Team Tang Soo-yuk is back with him again when he was separated from them. And it's this huge triumphant moment. And we go from there, we go up the Hell Train, and the Hell Train just gives a solid arc, incredible arc after incredible arc. The ending to Revolution Road is incredible. The callbacks it has to the ending of season 1 are crazy. The things like Bomb having the flashback with Rachel and being like, you're like an angel to me. If I ever went up there, could I meet more angels like you? As he is pushed off by her, mirroring him being pushed in season 1, and he's caught by Beta, who's using his wings like angel wings, and Beta was somebody who was just an enemy to him in Workshop Battle, but he turned that around. He made friends with him, made peace with him, and now the guy catching him when he falls is a guy who was just his enemy with the angel wings, just like him mentioning Rachel was an angel in his flashback. So much solid writing there. Going up into the final, like, go to hell battle where he gets the soul power up. And again, him keeping that was kind of not great. It should have maybe just been a one-time thing, honestly. But him getting that power up. And White did this thing where he hurt these billions of people. He did this horrible thing, and now all the bad things he's done, all the things he's done on the train, Rowan, who is now a part of the new Albelda clone, gave that power to Bomb. He's being defeated not just by Bomb, he's being defeated by his own sins, his own power. And when he does that, we have this great countdown moment. Rack looking up, believed in Bomb. Kun made his bet because he believed in Bomb. Bomb was able to win while saving people, something he didn't think he could do, and something that parallels Daniel and his team story, where they're like, wow, Rowan, do you see this? This guy did it. This guy saved people. Like, he didn't sacrifice people. He risked it all to do things without sacrificing people. Could we have done the same? Then we get into the incredible, incredible flashback with Daniel and Rowan, her saying she's so in love she doesn't care about dying. Akka saying, we never regretted stopping you from sacrificing yourself, even if it meant we lost Rowan. And we go straight from that into the Joaquin backstory, where we find out so much of why he did what he did. It didn't excuse it, but it told us the why. We go from that into this amazing, amazing Name Hunt Station arc with the Kaiser backstory, the conflict between Bomb's old allies and some of his other old allies, honestly, but some of his new allies. We have this conflict. We have this conflict with Bomb in himself. Is he Bomb or is he Juviole Grace? And we get a great fight to end it all. We get this great Elaine stuff that hints for the future, like tying in Maria stuff. And then we get the Floor of Death, some of the biggest reveals we've ever gotten. Again, the stuff towards the end wasn't perfect. This is where we first start seeing our cracks in the writing, because this is where we have things introduced for the arc that don't go anywhere. This is where we have characters like Heljo's minions introduced, and instead of each of them getting some development, a fight or a moment or something, they mostly kind of just don't do anything. They kind of like get off screen, and like not even all of them have a fight or anything. They just don't do anything. They just don't really show up anymore. Like Charlotte, for example, just doesn't really do anything. It's not that she gets one shot in a fight or anything. She just literally doesn't even do that to begin with. And then we have like our Heljo and Yurik stuff, which has some good writing behind it. But again, like there are some cracks there. Some cracks are starting to show. But again, we get some of these big lore reveals, and part of the reason why these reveals of V and Arland are so huge or so massive is because we're on this journey up the tower. And we have this solid group of characters with their own goals, their own objectives, and we have this main goal that we're heading toward, and then it's like bam, we get a context bomb dropped on us with the past of the child that maybe isn't Bomb. And that's huge because it's recontextualizing this tight story that we already have. And then again, we keep going, things are still good. And that's kind of my whole point, is look at how that writing was and look at what the writing is in like season 3, especially post Hotel season 3. There is good stuff here. The Amazu flashback is incredibly good, but outside of that, what are we doing? Where are we going to? Like, where's our goal? Where's our direction? Where's our characters? Where is this writing? This writing where, like, I think pre Floor of Death, it would be, I could find some criticisms, like I could say, maybe we could have done more with the 10 bosses. But again, that's a light criticism compared to how good every single thing we did see was. And the thing is, it's like, okay, but we're not focusing on them. They're not the focal point. They're not what we're supposed to be paying attention to, so that's why they're not developed super much. And what happened? We had writing that pre-Floor of Death was pretty much untouchable, in my opinion. It was up there with the likes of One Piece. Like, actually, and then things we get some cracks. We start to see some cracks. And where did that go? Where are we now as Tower of God fans, as people reading this story? Every single week you can go if you want to, and if you look on Naver you can see the scores that Korean fans are giving it, and it's just constantly week after week after week. Maybe something will be good once in a while, but all the comments are people saying, what the fuck? And all of the ratings are incredibly low. And it's I feel like again, this is going to be a crazy reference. Do you remember in Assassin's Creed Black Flag where you're going through the dream sequence with Edward and he is steering the ship straight towards a rocky island, straight towards a cliff, and Mary is shouting at him, turn the ship, stop going, like, avert course. And he's like, I know what I'm doing, Mary, I know what I'm just sailing straight at the island. It feels like fans, and again, there are a lot of people that are content with the, like, not great, like, hit and miss stuff we're getting, but there are so many fans saying it's not that hard. Like, turn the ship, redirect a little bit. You don't have to completely throw things out or change things a ton. But what happened? What happened to Tower of God? Turn the ship. Because there are things, one thing I can bring up is a great example. In any other series, we get this stuff in Name Hunt Station where they're like, oh yeah, the Lopobia family, and the leader has these 20 creatures and the branches are named after these creatures. Any other long-running shonen, we would have occasionally got a branch or a branch leader or something. We're like, oh, that's that branch, he must have that creature or whatever. But we actually get into it and it is so unorganized. The branches and creatures are just kind of all over the place, and Traumery has a bunch of creatures that seemingly don't really correspond to any of the branches, and it just feels like it would have taken so little effort to just have that properly organized. And it would have rewarded people for analyzing the series. It would have rewarded people for paying attention to the series. And that's usually what these good long-running series do, where if you look into the tiny details of the lore and the writing, there are constant things that are calling back hundreds of chapters later, and you're like, holy crap, that's incredible. You are rewarded for paying attention. You are rewarded for analyzing the writing and the material you're given. But in Tower of God, it feels like you're often punished for it. It feels like you're punished for looking deeply into the story, because you're going to be looking at something and then Seiyu's just going to decide, nah, I'm contradicting that. Nah, I decided against it. I decided to do something different. And different isn't always worse, but if you're contradicting things that have already existed, and this isn't necessarily the best example of a contradiction, but there are other things too. And it just feels like, in a lot of ways, you're not rewarded by caring that much. You're not rewarded by paying that much attention. Because, you're going to get let down. I don't know where we are right now with Tower of God, so I'll end the video there. Thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video. Comment down there to tell me what you thought of the chapter and my thoughts on it. Most of my thoughts, the majority of this video, is honestly just talking about the general story as a whole. But the chapter itself, not great. Again, not the worst, but not great. Some of the characters were off. Some of the writing, especially towards the end, I'm just like, what are we doing? But yeah, comment down there. Tell me what you think. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it's free and open for anyone. If you would like to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks, that's appreciated. If you'd like to help support the channel and get your name at the end of videos, get One Piece videos early, hit join down below to become a member, or go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description. Either way, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Cutting back in because I forgot. I think this is the first time I've ever done this. This is post-editing Haku, having to come back and record, then edit this in. Thank you to Chosen Regular, Evan, Holly, Magical Girls, Evernono, J.A., and the D-Band, Cheriton Students, David Langstaff, and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates, SG, and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element, Pater Diallo. Thank you so much. To all of you, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.